Welcome to the Baby Cello project. Yes, I've done this movie before. I'm redoing the audio on it. And for those of you who don't know anything about it, this is a baby cello. It's not a violin. It is a tiny cello used to teach children. And ignore the text on this little movie. I am basically recording new audio. Anyway, this instrument was deemed unsalvageable by the music store. So they were going to put it on the burn pile, and a friend of mine offered to give it to me. And I said yes. And I went right out and got some 1/8" basswood. And that was what I started with, that and a pencil. Now I drew some sketches on the back to give me some ideas of what I wanted to do, and that helped me place the floors. Now, as you can see, the floors have blood on them because no project is complete without shedding blood on it. It just happens no matter what. I always cut myself with the razor knife. But I made little holes in the floor so that the resident of this baby cello can go up and down the stairs. And I'll show you the stairs. It's actually going to be a ladder. But yes, I sketched basically the configuration of the rooms very loosely, and then I started building. Now what I used here is basswood, not balsa wood. I do not use balsa wood ever. Balsa wood is too soft and it absorbs moisture, and it just is all in all not a good wood for anything but model planes. That's just my opinion, but what the heck. Now also, as you can see, I have wallpaper up in some of the room, in one room already, but I'll have them up in more. And that is actually scrapbooking paper. And you can see they come in really cool little designs and configurations. I think this one was kind of a gothy set, and there was just enough sheets in the little book that I bought. It was on sale to do all of the rooms. And look how cute it turned out. I'm very excited how adorable those colors were and how well it worked with this whole project. So as you can see, I'm kind of moving forward on these little pieces and the built-in furniture. I love to do built-in things. And what I love about these projects that are whimsical is that I'm not tied down by having to be meticulous or careful or measure things with precision. I can just fly by the seat of my pants because darn it, that's what I like to do when it comes to miniaturing and creativity. So yeah, I am clamping together a little bathtub because every house needs a nice little bathtub, right? As you can see, I've already placed a few commercial miniature items in the little house to make sure that everybody knows what those rooms are going to be used for. Now, here I am building the bottom floor, and as you can see, there isn't a ruler or calipers or anything in precision tools in sight. That's just not how I roll. Um, I'm using a stick to measure things, and I'm cutting with an X-Acto knife, and I'm just gluing it in and measuring by, you know, by the seat of my pants and just kind of randomly doing it and letting it organically come together. Now, that's what happens when, some people have ADHD. Oh, wait, got to have our podcast going. Definitely true crime is necessary on projects like this. But as you can see, I just want to get it done, so I'm doing it. And that means that nothing's going to stand in my way of getting it done. Even when I don't have the tools I need to do it, I will find ways to accomplish it. So, whatever project I have in mind ahead of time, it never really quite comes out exactly the way I envisioned it because I hurry too much and I push myself too much and I just want to get it done. So, yeah, I mean, I am ultimately satisfied in the end because I got the project done, because getting a project done is very difficult for somebody with my ADHD. But I got it done and I hyperfixated. And I think what made this project go so quickly was that it wasn't a very big project. It was small. And I basically did these marathon sessions, just building, 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 and I got it done fairly quickly. It took a while to polish it and finish it, but um, most of the bulk of the work got done very quickly. And once again, I'm working with basswood. I love the stuff. I use it all the time. And what I love about it too is how organic this project is. There's really not a straight line to be found. And I mean, even the structural stuff is a little crooked and shelves are crooked, but you know what? That's okay. It was built by mice. This is a mouse's residence, so they built it. As you can see, I'm using pieces of wood to push pieces of wood into the curves and make sure they glue down nice and tightly. More of that scrapbooking paper is going up, as you can see. I had a great time filling the rooms with those different papers. I don't usually paper, so it was really fun to play with those whimsical designs. I really like the time lapses, but you can see here it's coming together. The drawers are crooked, and there is our little vanity with the wash bowl and decanter and the little chamber pot underneath. And here I did a mix of stain and paint to kind of create a used mottled look for all of the woodwork in the house. I cut the window in the side. That was not easy to do. And I also kind of dirtied up the shop and the workshop area. Here I have made the mattress and blanket and bolster and all the things for the bed, the pillow. And I have put there's a little mattress. I put handles on the cabinets and drawers. They were actually the flathead bead things, and I just glued some of those little diamond art diamonds on the end and put some resin on them. Now, I needed a teeny tiny table, and I have this really cool tool. It's called a play mat. It's called something else now. I've seen it in other stores, but it has 4 applications. You can use it as a lathe, it's a drum sander, it's a drill press, and a scroll saw or jigsaw. I can't remember. And yeah, you just change the configuration and you can use it in all those applications. It's not super powerful. It's meant for kids. And I mean, literally, if you push hard enough on the wood, it'll just stop it. But it does actually work. Some hardwoods will not turn on it because it's just too hard, but basswood is pretty damn good. Works fine. And so I made myself a little base for the table. It was really fun to do. I really enjoy doing the turning. That's what I love about miniatures too, is that you can learn all sorts of different things, like how to turn wood and carve things and cut things and design things and do wiring and all sorts of things. This is a wingback chair in progress. So here it is so far. The little curtain is all set, and I've got some plates and all sorts of other things set in there. The table is set up, the little baby table that I made. And I've got a frame that's waiting for a picture. And those little rugs, I found those in a little antique shop in Derry, New Hampshire. Oh, no, wait a minute. It was Raymond. It was my own town. And they are from old cigar boxes, I think, or cigarette boxes. They came in there as promotional items. You can find them on eBay, but they're pretty cool and they fit perfectly in here. I was sad to sell it with them with the house, but I did. On the mantle, there's a frame of cheese because that was my son's idea. And above that is a picture of the luthier himself. Now, I was in a little food creating mode so that we could have things to put in Mr. Patkani's Patkani? Oh, I forgot. It's rat in Hungarian. For his pantry. So I made some blueberries and some red huckleberries and some bread and lots of cheese. And of course we have Miss Felicity's Wheaty Cream Crackers. And it says, made from all natural hand-gathered wheat, baked to perfection by the Felicity Field Mouse Family Bakers. I don't know why I did that. I just decided to. Sat at Photoshop and made a little logo and everything. I printed a little darker than I anticipated, but it didn't take away any of the fun of having a little packet of crackers made by mice. I think it's cute. So all of this is going to go into the pantry, but now on to the next stage. Yes, the scary cuts. It was really frightening to cut these because if I screwed it up, what the hell would I have done? Here's everything back in the pantry. The wing back is done. The fire is flickering. Isn't that cute? The cheese on the mantle. blueberries, huckleberries, and of course dishware. And he's got little teacups. Yeah, I did hang them up. They're hanging from little hooks. There you go, a little piece of lace that someone gave me, some books. Mice like to read too, you know. And there's an acorn on the top shelf that my son found, teeny tiny one. So I've broken out the glass tools, and that means I am going to start glazing windows. As you can see, I've already filled the S-curves. Of course, I have to get some snaps of the interior as I do this. But yeah, the S-curves, the S-holes, or whatever they are, those have resin in them, and I put some, and I'm air quoting, leading in there. But these are actually real stained glass. I broke the glass up kind of willy-nilly, and I did it on purpose because mice built this little house, and they made do with what they found. So I installed them in their little respective window holes. And there you go. Look how willy-nilly that is. I had some leftover shingles, so I used that to roof the bay window. And I used some basswood, I think 1/32, to make some violin-shaped trim for the door. Some steps, some lettering, gotta have the sign, some tools for the work table. Look, they're in their own little rack. And I put a curtain in the window and trim on the window. More fire in the fireplace. Now I did ultimately add wiring here. This right here is a battery, and I didn't like it, so I put in wiring. Have to have your bread and jam too, and a little bottle of jam. A hanging sign. Oh yes, the silkery. Underneath the floor of the shop, there is a little space, and in that little space, there is Mrs. Pook. She is a spider. Oh, there's the femme fatale. She's in the frame. And I'm cutting some instruments. Mrs. Pook is a spider, of course, and she produces silk that is used to string the instruments. So, of course, I'm going to have to add that little story to the marquee here. So these are the little instruments that I cut. I think the big one came from a 1/2-inch piece of basswood, and I used a Dremel to kind of round them out and give them some dimension. One of those comes, the one on the bottom right, came from a kit, and I used that one to kind of decide what the other ones look like. But he's the one on the left. You can see the neck is much finer. It's actually metal. And the one next to it I made, and I made the necks out of wood using my Dremel. I kind of drilled everything away. They're not quite as fine or, dainty as the one from the kit, but, you make do. So they're strung, and we're going to put them in the shop. Look at some of the silk from the silkery. Stringing them was a little difficult, but I managed. And now I am just putting them in there to kind of give the effect. I used the templates that I actually used to cut the instruments and put them in the workshop because he could use them too. And there's the silkery. I've got some music there from the kit that had that original violin in it, just to add for the effect. Nice little work table, a little bucket of tools. And here we are. There you go, a little bathroom. More of those acorns, more things in the pantry, a little seat for a little cushion for the bench. Products displayed in the window. The door did open, but then I broke it, so I had to glue it in place. I just didn't want to fix it. So sad because those hinges were so cool. This is what it looked like at this point. There's Mrs. Pook the spider. She's in there winding up little skeins of silk for the lutherie. And you have to have firewood. That is a little Krisenbahn stool that I had for like 30 years, and I finally found a use for it. I'm not a big fan of plastic in dollhouses, but it worked out too well to just ignore it. I have scrap wood in the bin there, and we have tea and jam waiting for the luthier. So he has a nice little workspace. It's a little dirty and dusty and stained, but you know, that's what happens. But the shop side is not too bad. Just a little soot from the fireplace. And as you can see, there's a ladder, and he would climb up through, come through the hole in the floor, and here he would enjoy his little dinner or lunch and sit by the fire in his wingback chair and admire the lovely lady in the portrait. And then when he's done doing that, he can maybe have a sunflower seed before bed. We have a walnut shell with those in there. He has some bread. He has some acorns that my son collected from his playground at school. Cheese, huckleberries, blueberries, and of course lots of plates and such, you know, when he has guests crammed into his little space. And I'm not a big fan of plastic, as I said, but I did find these little jars of jam on Wish, and they made a nice addition. They're colorful. Okay, now we're going to go up the ladder again. Oh, wait a minute. We got to check for silverware first. He has plenty of that as well. And one last look in here. The little ottoman, the little vintage rug. I think it's from the 30s, 40s, or 50s. I can't remember. You can find them on eBay. I just don't remember what they're called. But yeah, a bunch of tobacco companies would sell them inside of the products. So you got like a little free gift. So up the ladder we go, through the floor into the bed chamber and wash chamber. He has a lovely tub. I used beads for legs. We've got a wash bowl and decanter, and we have a little soap dish. That's another Bond thing, I think. And of course his little bed nook, and he has a blanket and pillows and a portrait, and he has a little teeny tiny pillow back there and a bolster and a little fireplace. Now, I don't have it in this movie, but I did eventually add a power to this. Actually, I'm going to add this to the end of the video because I did some modifications before I sold this little house, and I did sell it. This is where it was before I added the power in and sold it. It was close to finished. This was a little TikTok that I did to kind of show it off. Patkani, that's right. It means rat in Hungarian. I'm so original. But it really was such a great project to do. I kind of regret selling it to some degree, but then a part of me, I'm not that married to my projects once I'm done with them, but I do like the process of creation. But I really would like to do another one. And here are the residents. This is Mr. Paktani and his little niece Maggie. And I have added power at this point. Now, this is not 12-volt power. It does not plug into the wall. This is 3-volt power, and that is why I got these cheapo little lights from Wish. They're LED, not super powerful, but they do provide a good mood. I added some scraps to the work table, and I'm giving a last final sweep because this is when I was bidding the little house farewell as it was going to its new owner. The owner is now, she is a cellist, and she is now the proud owner of this little house. She loves it. It took me a while, like a year or something, to send her the dolls, but I did eventually. So with the 3 lights on the 3 floors, I think the package came with the 3 lights. It was super cheap. And I added 3 flickering fireplace units. Those are 3-volt as well. And I tore those out of a set of 3 flameless candles. Now, if you look, I added roofing material. I'm not kidding when I tell you that this asphalt shingles, I've had them since 2001. I'm surprised they didn't just crumble when I pulled them out of the box, but they worked and they are there and it looks really cute. One must weatherproof, one must add copper flashing, and one must add verdigris patina on it, of course. But yeah, all those wires are pulled together in the back, and it's run off of 2032 batteries. They're LED, they don't suck up a lot of power. I prefer 12 volt, but I wasn't really willing to go and have a cord hanging from the bottom of this little dollhouse. This is the final sweep. This is what it looks like. This was the last look at it before I sent it along its way. I kind of am sad that I sold it, but as I said before, the best part for me is the creation. I would like to get another cello one of these days and do something similar. Not the same, but similar. It was a really super fun project to do. I love whimsy and I love charm and organic shapes. And I got to play with all of those things in this project. Sadly, the door had to be glued in place, and I did cover up those screw holes, as you can see there, before it went out. But here it is in the dark, with the lights on. Look how cozy the little living room looks with the fire going and the light on. How fun was this project? I have an idea what I'm going to do next. I'm still going to work on Wolf Hall, but I have another severely whimsical project in mind, so stay tuned.